So this is a recent situation that I don't know if a lot of people are going to cover and just kind of see as a funny little story, but I think it's one worth talking about. A very on and off topic in games discussion nowadays is the importance of physical preservation. With the rise of online storefronts, digital only games, and streaming services, a lot of people are understandably worried about how a lot of video games are going to be preserved in the future, specifically by the means of physical copies. Now, I am a staunch supporter of physical games. I pretty much never buy big AAA games digitally anymore, to the point that I have somewhere in the ballpark of 140 to 150 physical Nintendo Switch games. I'm not even exaggerating, here's proof. So when it comes to digital only games, I am much more wary of those. I'll buy them for sure. I mean, I do want these games in some fashion, but I and many others worry what's going to happen to these when they're taken down or their storefronts are shut off. They could be gone permanently for one reason or another, whether it be a good reason or an arbitrary one. Scott Pilgrim vs. the World was the go-to example when it came to this discussion point for many years. But of course, now that game has been both re-released and physically preserved. So at least that one was able to get a happy ending, but many others unfortunately don't. Hell, we just lost hundreds of digital only games thanks to the 3DS and Wii U eShops closing. The first two Dylan games, Harmonite, the Pushmo series, Affordable Space Adventures, and a lot more have all been completely lost in official formats simply because they were never brought anywhere else, and any way we can buy them was shut down. Believe me, it won't be the last time something like this happens. But why am I bringing up all this now? Well, there was a very recent micro situation over the past few days involving both Steam and Activision that I really feel hammers home the importance of physical media. So back on Wednesday, May 17th, people noticed that Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Out of the Shadows, not the movie starring multi-time WWE champion Sheamus. Remember that?
I like it! Me too.
But anyway, the game TMNT Out of the Shadows, a title released by Activision in 2013, was strangely available on the Steam store page. This was strange because Out of the Shadows had been delisted for over 6 years at this point, with it being pulled from all online storefronts in January 2017 due to Activision not renewing the rights to TMNT. Many people first noticed this due to Wario64 bringing attention to it on Twitter at 1:49 p.m. EST. A little under an hour later, at 2:44 p.m. EST, he noted the game had once again been unlisted. So while there wasn't an exact time frame we know of when the game was put back up, given how quick on the draw Wario64 is when it comes to stuff like this, it's pretty safe to assume the game was once again available for around an hour. And yeah, during that hour, you could just buy a game that had been delisted for many years with no issue, and I was actually one of those people. I, like many others, figured this was a mistake, so I jumped on it as soon as possible. I bought it, got it on my PC, and figured, hey, I got an unlisted game, that's pretty cool. But I and many others rightfully assumed it was too good to last. At around 1 p.m. 2 days later, Friday, May 19th, folks who bought the game noticed they had been given a full refund and it had been pulled from their libraries, along with being sent an email from Steam themselves. To quote the email, "Hello user, we recently refunded your Steam purchase of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Out of the Shadows. The game is no longer available for sale on Steam and was only republished temporarily due to a Valve error. As a result, your copy of the game has been revoked and we refunded your transaction. We're sorry for the inconvenience. Cheers, the Steam team." So basically, it was a mistake on Steam's end. The game was never meant to be republished, and anybody who bought it in that brief time frame was refunded. The game was also forcibly yanked from people's libraries, even if they downloaded it. Like when I bought the game, I immediately downloaded it, not knowing if that would do anything different when it came to keeping it, but unfortunately, no. No matter if you just bought it or outright downloaded it as soon as you got it, it was pulled from your account sight unseen. Now, I'm not gonna go full corporations here because in the complete interest of fairness, I do understand why Activision and Steam had to do this. Activision does not have the rights to the TMNT name. It's literally illegal for them to be selling Out of the Shadows or any game that they've made that they don't currently own the license to. That's the same reason why all the Activision Transformers games that people really liked are currently delisted. Even though they're popular and people probably would still buy them, they don't have the license to it. So from a legal standpoint, I understand why the game was pulled again and why anybody who bought it had it revoked and got a full refund. That is the key thing of note here. It is very good that they gave immediate and automatic refunds, because if they didn't do that, I would be singing a very different tune. But the thing that really stood out to me is that they were able to just pull the game away from you, whether you bought it and downloaded it. For one reason or another, a company is just able to go
No.
and take the game away without any input from the buyer. And at least to me, that's kind of worrying. And look, I understand how digital games work. When you buy one, you're not really buying your own copy of the game. You're just buying your own license to get access to that game, and that license has the ability to be revoked. I get it. But with the fact that we're moving more and more towards a digital only future for gaming, what could happen if this ability to be able to revoke games gets more excessive? It just worries me how companies can take away what you bought on a whim. And with how much companies are shown to want full control of the games you buy, that's part of the reason why they're even pushing for an all digital future in the first place. Is it possible that they may make it that if a game is pulled from a storefront at all, they take away everybody's availability of that game, like even the ones who bought it long before it was ever going to be pulled, and they just refund you for your purchase? Like when Rockstar pulled the original GTA PS2 games from Steam to make way for the Trilogy collection, could in the future, if something like that were to happen again, they also pull every downloaded copy of those games no matter when they were bought? I don't know if that could be done or if it could even be made possible in the future, but the fact that it is even able to happen at all, it's concerning. Again, especially with how much these companies want total control over your purchases even after you buy them. Heck, while it's not games, something like this happened not too long ago with movies on PlayStation. They lost the rights to a bunch of movies in Germany, including stuff like John Wick, and people in Germany who bought those movies, they had them completely pulled away from their libraries. No matter how long they had bought them for, they lost all access to that purchase. And I hate if something like that were to happen in the future to games. Games are already way behind all other forms of media when it comes to preservation. Only a few companies have shown they're really on the up and up when it comes to this stuff. And unless things change soon, things could only get worse as we move further and further towards all digital. Now, I don't think an all digital future is immediately around the corner. Hell, I actually think the failure of stuff like Stadia pushed it back several years. But I hope when we do eventually reach that day, companies make their games more accessible and less restrictive to players, because games deserve that. Not just us as players, but respecting the art form. That is the key here. Physical preservation is super important right now because, like I said, so many companies just don't really seem to care about preservation, and it would utterly suck to have great games just lost to the sands of time because of uninterested negligence. At the end of the day, all we can really do is wait and hope for the best and show companies that you care about preservation. Buy games physically or even just make it known online. Show them that this media is worth caring about and preserving and shouldn't just be treated as a money factory. And hey, I and many others may not have that TMNT game anymore, but at least I have this funny screenshot of Leonardo to remember it all by.